Hello, I'm Jay. I'm the student to learn English, but I cannot speak English well. So I upload my learning English video for 1 year. Every day I upload my video, and then after 1 year I compare to now and after 1 year. So it makes you the trust that you can study English and oral everything if you want it. So I always present 5 minute present before studying English. So today's the today's subject is mm, the word. What the word that effect for me. Mm, I think words. I think the word uh, 10 1 second or just like 1 minute. 1 minute is my I like the best word because it means every day I run the English. It's too hard for me because I want to see YouTube and I want to play the game and I want to sleep. But this word make me diligent for English and or workout and read the book. uh, how how to I use this word? For example, after I eat dinner and I don't want to go run English and I want to just take a rest and see the movie and playing the game, but the 1 minute rule is uh, if if you want to rest, take a rest. Just you have to 1 minute. You have to 1 minute run running English or what you have to do. Okay. Uh, I have three rules. First is every day I run English, and second thing is every day I read the book, and third is every day I work out. These three simple rules is uh, makes me healthy and very diligent. So, but every day it is very hard to me. Every day I read a book and learn English and work out. It's very hard for me but if you start 1 minute, it makes the sort things easy. For example, oh, compared to before and after. Before, before, before is formal and after is later. The formal thing. Oh my God, I have to every day read the book and learn English and every day work out. It's too hard to me, but rather if you adjust the 1 minute rule for you. Oh, okay. I read the book just 1 minute, and I learn the English just 1 minute, and I work out just 1 minute, is for it makes you to behavior. Okay, it makes me it makes me every three things uh, make me the easier than former. So I think the word of the best thing I think is 1 minute. 1 minute will maybe change my life. Indeed, the 1 minute rule, I run the 1 minute rule just before 10 years ago, but this is the first try to adjust the 1 minute rule. So uh, I just I adjust this rule only until last week. So after last week, I maybe every day adjust this 1 minute rule. So okay, 5 minutes the end. So I have to go listening English and reading English book. Okay, thank you. First, I find the English YouTube to hear to practice listening English. So I have to find something. I recommended the tab ad, so I tried this one. But before I heard the TED ad, it's too hard for me, so I changed the video. And after 1 week, when I heard that, it's hard for me. So after one week, so I try it. Okay. 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 I choose the subject is what caused herpes and how can you treat it? Okay, I don't have herpes, but I heard that it's maybe permanent the disease. So I wonder that why is it permanent and why is it why isn't it cure easy? Okay.
In the first century CE,
In the first century CE.
Roman.
Okay, I find that uh, how to use how to okay, let's go. Sorry. Let's go.
In 1st century CE,
In the first century CE. In the first century CE.
Roman Emperor Tiberius.
In the first century CE.
In the 1st century CE, Roman Emperor Tiberius
Roman Emperor Tiberius.
in the 1st century CE, Roman Emperor Tiberius made an unprecedented decision, banning
Roman Emperor Tiberius. Roman Emperor Tiberius.
kissing Emperor Tiberius made it in the 1st century CE. Roman Emperor Tiberius
Roman Emperor Tiberius.
made an in the 1st century CE. Roman Emperor Tiberius made an unprecedented decision.
Unprecedented decision.
Roman Emperor Tiberius
Roman Emperor Tiberius
made an unprecedented decision.
Decision.
Roman Emperor Tiberius made an unprecedented decision. Roman Emperor Tiberius made an unprecedented decision. Roman Emperor Tiberius made an unprecedented decision.
Unprecedented decision.
In the 1st century CE, Roman Emperor
Tiberius. Roman Emperor Tiberius
made an unprecedented decision.
Roman Emperor
Tiberius made an unprecedented decision.
Roman Emperor Tiberius made an unprecedented decision. Okay.
Banning kissing at all public events.
Banning kissing.
Listen to decision. Banning kissing at all public events.
At all public.
Precedented decision. Banning kissing at all public events.
All public
Precedented decision. Banning
kissing
at all public events.
Banning kissing at all public events. Banning kissing at all public events. Okay. Oh.
This move was aimed at thwarting a puzzling outbreak. This move was aimed at thwarting a puzzling outbreak. This move was aimed at thwarting a puzzling outbreak.
This move was aimed at
thwarting a puzzling outbreak, which many historians believe was an epidemic of oral herpes. This move was aimed at thwarting a puzzling outbreak. This move was aimed at thwarting a puzzling outbreak, which many. This move was aimed at thwarting a puzzling outbreak, which. This move was aimed at thwarting a puzzling
outbreak. This
This move was aimed at thwarting
a puzzling outbreak.
Made an unprecedented century C.
Century CE.
Roman Emperor Tiberius made an unprecedented decision.
Unprecedented decision.
Roman Emperor Tiberius made an
decision. Made unprecedented. Century CE. And from the year this was the time Roman Imperial like Augustus and best passing. The year they got the law and Israel and most importantly the language.
Unprecedented decision. Banning kissing at all public events. This move was aimed at thwarting a puzzling outbreak.
This move.
This move was aimed at
at
thwarting a puzzle.
thwarting a puzzle outbreak. Describe an event. Unprecedented event that completely or original. Never done or no, never done. Unprecedented. Okay. Move was aimed at sorting of puzzling outbreak. This move was aimed at sorting of puzzling outbreak.
Puzzling outbreak, which many historians believe was an epidemic of oral herpes. Many historians believe was an epidemic of oral herpes, which many historians believe was an epidemic of oral herpes. Which many historians believe was an epidemic of oral herpes. Which many historians believe was an epidemic of oral herpes. Which many historians believe was an epidemic.
Epidemic.
Of oral herpes. Which many historians believe was an epidemic.
Epidemic.
Of oral herpes. Many historians believe was an epidemic of oral herpes.
Focus. Throwing. Prevent someone from accomplishing something or to stop a plan for succeeding. To prevent someone from accomplishing something. Puzzling. Something that is difficult to understand. Puzzling. Outbreak. A sudden threat of something unwelcome. Such as this or social sad. Of rebellion or defeat by using their unprecedented approach. Sorry, like the opening of a high-tech investigation or research report, it uses very specific active verb to describe to oppose successfully to prevent. Okay.
Many historians believe was an epidemic of oral herpes. Many historians believe was an epidemic. Puzzling outbreak, which many historians believe was an epidemic of oral herpes. Fast forward to today, and more than half the population is infected with herpes simplex virus, though as NAFTA of oral herpes. Fast forward to today, an epidemic of oral herpes. Fast forward to today, and more than half the population is infected with herpes simplex virus. Though than half the population is infected with herpes simplex virus. Though than half the population is infected with herpes simplex virus.
It's hard for me, so I have to change the video. It's not my level. It's not. So I have to start the easier one. Flow.
Is the universe infinite? Does it have an edge? And if so, what would you see? Is the universe infinite?
Is the universe infinite?
Does it have an
Does
edge?
it have an edge?
And
Doesn't have edge.
if so, what would you see if you went there?
If you went there.
Today, we know that the universe had a beginning 14 billion years ago, and that it's been expanding.
14 billion years ago.
Today, we know that the universe had a beginning 14 billion years ago,
14 billion years ago.
and that it's been expanding ever since. But something that's expanding should also have an edge, right? Well, it sort of does. Something that's expanding should also have an edge, right? Expanding ever since. But something that's expanding should also have an edge, right? Well, ever since. But something that's expanding should also have an edge, right? It's been expanding ever since. So, what would you see if you went there?
If you went there, what would you see? What you see if you went there? What do you see if you went there?
Does it have an edge? And if so, what would you see?
And if so,
if you went there?
If you went there, if you went there, if you went there.
Today, we know that the universe had a beginning 14 billion years ago.
Today we can. Today
we know that the universe had a
Today we know the universe
beginning 14 billion years ago.
Today
we know that the universe had
we know that the universe had a
beginning 14 billion years ago.
14 billion years ago.
And that it's been expanding ever since. That the universe had a beginning 14 billion years ago, and that it's been expanding ever since. That the universe had a beginning 14 billion years ago, and that it's been expanding.
And that
today we know that the universe had a beginning 14 billion years ago, and that it's been expanding ever since. The universe had a beginning 14 billion years ago, and that it's been expanding.
And that's been expanding ever since.
But something that's expanding should also have an edge, and that it's been expanding ever since. But something that's expanding should also have an edge, right? Ever since. But something that's expanding should also have.
But something that's expanding. But something that's
an edge, right? Expanding ever since. But something that's expanding should also have an edge, right?
Should also
ever since. But something that's expanding.
Something that's expanding
should also have an edge, right? Expanding ever since. But something that's expanding should also have an edge, right? Expanding ever since. But something that's expanding should also have an edge, right?
Should also have edgy.
Expanding ever since. But something that's expanding should also have an edge, right?
Should also have edge, right?
Been expanding ever since. But
something that's expanding
should also have.
But something that's expanding
have an edge,
also
right?
have an edge. Should also have an edge, right?
Expanding ever since. But something that's expanding.
But something that's expanding
should also have an edge,
also
right?
have edge. Should have
it's been
also
expanding
edge.
ever since. But something that's expanding should also have an edge, right?
Should also have an edge, right?
Well, it sort of does.
Well, it's totally does.
Something that's expanding should also have an edge, right? Well, it sort of does.
Well, it's totally does.
That's expanding should also have an edge, right? Well, it sort of does.
Well, it sort of does.
Thing that's expanding should also have an edge, right? Well, it sort of does.
Well, it sort of does. Well, it sort of does.
Thing that's expanding should also have an edge, right? Well, it sort of does.
Well, it sort of
should
does.
also have an edge, right?
It sort of does.
Well, it sort of does.
Well, it sort of does. Well, it sort of does. It sort of does. Your You're moving away from black and white thinking and acknowledging that the situation is complex. It's final adaptability. You see that while something might not be 100% true, just something is true to a certain extent, but not completely similar to same kind of so what? Sort of cutting time. Okay. What is so? Well, it's sort of does. What is sort of does?
Information can't travel faster than light. Well, it sort of does. Information can't travel faster than light.
Information come.
Well, it sort of does. Information can't travel faster than light.
Information come first to.
Well, it sort of does.
It sort of does.
Information can't travel faster than light. Well,
information,
it sort of does. Information can't travel faster than light. Well, it sort of does.
Information
can't travel faster than light.
Can travel faster than light. Information can't travel faster than light.
Well, it sort of does. Information can't travel faster than light.
Control. Information control faster than light.
That means that we can only see parts of the universe whose light has had time to reach us in the last 14 billion years. In parts of the universe, information can't travel faster than light. Control. That means that we can only see parts of the universe whose light has had time to reach us in the last 14 billion years. When we look outwards, what we see is a sphere centered on us. That we can only does. Information can't travel faster than light. That means that we can only see. Information can't travel faster than light. That means that we can only see parts of the universe whose light has had travel faster than light. That means that we can only see parts of the universe whose light has had time to reach us in the last 14 billion years.
In the last 14 billion years.
Parts of the universe, information can't travel faster than light. That means that we can only see parts of the universe whose light has had time to reach us in the last 14 billion years. See parts of the universe whose light has had time to reach us in the last 14 billion years. See parts of the universe whose light can't travel faster than light. That means that we can only see parts of the universe.
Also, I changed the video of yeah. It's hard for me, so I have to stop transferring to I think. It's too hard for me. Okay, I find another YouTube channel. So, Rebel One. Okay. English speeches. And fluent. Better than yesterday. That ad is too hard for me. Okay, ENG fluent. Okay. I try.
In this video, you're going to learn how to improve your English pronunciation. And at the end of this video, I'll give you a link to a webpage that contains free pronunciation exercises. Now, first of all, why is it so hard for you and I to improve our English pronunciation? Well, one of the for you and I to improve our English pronunciation. Well, one of the reasons is that we can't make some sounds in English because those sounds are not present in our native languages. So when we speak, because those sounds are not present in our native languages in English, because those sounds are not present in our native languages English, because those sounds are not present in our native languages.
Are not present without those sounds are not present in our native languages.
So when we speak English, we replace those difficult sounds with some other sounds that we can make. And that's why we mispronounce words. With some other sounds that we can make. And that's why we mispronounce words all the time. So the first step to improving your pronunciation is to learn to pronounce all of the main sounds in English correctly. So how do you do that? Well, one way to do that is to find some pronunciation exercises for each sound in English. One way to do that is to find some pronunciation exercises
to pronunciation exercises
for each sound in English, and just practice some pronunciation exercises for each sound in English, and just is to find some pronunciation exercises for each sound in English, and just practice. After you practice making all the sounds, you will have the perfect pronunciation. Now, I really wish it were that simple, but it's not. There is a problem. And the problem is the sounds in English are very similar to each other. Now, why is that a problem? Well, unlike babies, adults don't have the ability. Well, unlike babies.
I like the babies.
Adults don't have the ability.
Adults don't have your ability
to easily distinguish between all the different sounds in a foreign language. So when you hear two different sounds in English, if those sounds are similar, your brain might perceive those sounds as the same. Now have the problem. Well, unlike babies, adults don't have the ability to easily distinguish between all the different sounds in a foreign language. So when you hear two different sounds in English, if those sounds are similar, your brain might perceive those sounds as the same. And that's why learning to make each sound separately may not work. In the past, I couldn't hear the difference between these sounds. So to me, the words cheap and sheep sounded the same. So to me, the words cheap and sheep sounded the same. If I did an exercise
cheap and sheep,
teaching how to pronounce cheap and sheep sounded the same. If I did an exercise teaching how to pronounce these words, sheep sounded the same.
Sound the same. Sound the same.
If I did an exercise teaching how to pronounce these words, sounded the same. If I did an exercise teaching how to pronounce these words, sounded the same. If I did an exercise cheap and sheep,
if I did an exercise,
if I did an exercise teaching how to pronounce these words, sounded the same. If I did an exercise teaching how to pronounce these words, sounded the same. If I did an exercise teaching how to pronounce these words, I would mispronounce all of them. And I would believe
I mispronounce all of them.
I was these words. I would mispronounce all of them. And I would believe that I was pronouncing those words correctly, even though that wasn't true. And that's the biggest challenge when it comes to improving your pronunciation. If you can't hear the difference between two sounds, how can you learn to produce each sound correctly? So what should you do? Fortunately,
Fortunately,
there's a method
there's a
for
method
overcoming
for
this
overcoming
problem.
this problem.
And this method is
This
based on
method
a number of
based on the
research
number of
studies.
the number of
This problem. And this method is based on a number of research studies for overcoming this problem. And this method is based on a number of research methods for overcoming this problem. And this method is based on a number of research studies.
A number of
overcoming this problem. And this method is based on a number of research studies.
Based on
overcoming this problem. And this method is based on a number of research studies. Overcoming this problem. And this method is based on a number of research studies.
Number of research study.
Overcoming this problem. And this
method
based on a number of research studies. Overcoming this problem. And this method is based on a number of research studies. Studies suggest that, and this method is based on a number of research studies. These studies suggest that if you have trouble differentiating between two sounds, or these studies suggest that if you have trouble differentiating between two sounds or two words, just that if you have trouble differentiating between two these studies suggest that if you have trouble differentiating between two sounds or two words, the best way to train your brain to recognize the difference is to listen to the words at the same time. I mean, not between two sounds or two words. The best way to trouble differentiating between two cities. These studies suggest that if you have
these studies suggest that if you trouble differentiating,
these studies suggest that if you have trouble
differentiating between two sounds or two words, the best way to train your brain to recognize differences
is to listen to the words at the same. To train your brain to recognize the difference is to listen to the words at the same time.
At the same time. The
difference is to listen to the words at the same time.
At the same time.
I mean, not exactly at the same time, but you listen to one at the same time. I mean, not exactly at the same
not exactly
same time, but you listen to one word immediately after the other. Exactly at the same time, but you listen to the words at the same time. I mean, not exactly at the same time. You listen to one word immediately after the other. At the same time, but you listen to one word immediately after the other. If you hear those words, you listen to one word immediately after the other. If you at the same time, but you hear the words at the same time.
At the same time.
I mean, not exactly at the same time, but you listen to one word immediately after the other. If you hear those words at the same time, you are more likely to notice the difference. And after you've noticed the difference, you can then practice pronouncing those words. There are many free pronunciation exercises that apply this idea. These exercises contrast one sound with another. And here is what such an exercise is: contrast one sound with another. And here is what such an exercise might look like. This exercise contrasts the a sound with the e sound. This exercise contrasts the a sound with the e sound. This kind of exercise has three key a sound with the e sound. This kind of exercise has three key benefits. Firstly, e sound. This kind of exercise has three key benefits. Firstly, it makes you aware that the words in each pair are pronounced differently. It makes you aware that the words in each pair are pronounced differently. It makes you aware that the words in each pair are pronounced differently. It makes you aware that the words in each pair are pronounced differently. Firstly, it makes you aware that the words in each pair are pronounced Firstly, it makes you aware.
It makes you aware
that the words in each pair are pronounced differently. Secondly, in an exercise like this, pronounced differently.
Secondly,
In an exercise like this,
in the
are pronounced differently. Secondly, in an exercise like this,
in our next slide like this,
are pronounced differently.
pronounce
Secondly, in an exercise like this,
in an exercise like this,
are pronounced differently. Secondly,
secondly,
in an exercise like this,
in our exercise like this,
are pronounced differently.
pronounced differently.
Secondly, in an exercise like this,
in an exercise like this, in an
are
exercise like
pronounced
this.
differently.
Secondly,
in an exercise like
like this,
the presenter tends to exaggerate. Secondly, in an exercise like this, the presenter tends to exaggerate when pronouncing words. The presenter tends to exaggerate when pronouncing words. This. The presenter
They feel central.
tends to exaggerate
Exaggerate
when pronouncing words.
and influencing words.
Like this, the presenter tends to secondly, in an exercise like this, the presenter tends to exaggerate when pronouncing words.
When pronouncing words.
This, the presenter tends to exaggerate when pronouncing words. Words in each pair are pronounced differently.
If they are pronounced differently.
Secondly, in an exercise like this,
In an exercise like this,
the presenter
they feel central. The presenter
tends to exaggerate
tends to exaggerate.
in an exercise like this. The presenter
the presenter
tends to exaggerate
when pronouncing word. Oh, what the meaning of that? I wondering. The presenter tends to exaggerate pronouncing words. The presenter tends to exaggerate when pronouncing words. It comes from the kitchen presenter to exaggerate their speech to ensure every phoneme is captured by a microphone, especially when discussing puzzling or fancy words. While it might sound a bit unnatural, this over-education is a strategic move aimed at thwarting and confusing. Exaggerate means to represent something as being longer, better, or worse than it really is. Exaggerate. In the context of speaking, it means emphasize sound. Exaggerate. Overstate or exaggerate. Presenter. With pronouncing word.
making it even easier to hear the differences. Making it even easier to hear the differences. And lastly, since similar words are presented together for comparison. Since similar words are presented together for comparison. Since similar words are presented together for comparison. And lastly, since similar words are presented together for comparison.
Present together from
And lastly, since similar words are presented together for
present together.
comparison, it reduces the tendency for presented together for comparison.
Present together.
And lastly, since
similar
similar words
words
presented together, here the differences. And lastly, since similar words are presented together for comparison. And lastly, since similar words presented
together for comparison,
it
it reduces
reduces
the tendency. Lastly, since similar words are presented together for comparison. You prevent your vocabulary from being untidy. Instead of having a pile of words, you have them, for example, knowing the difference between fancy and light helps you choose the right word for the right situation. Oh, what's that? Since similar words are presented together for comparison,
the tendency for a non-native speaker to pronounce two different words the same way. Now you might be wondering. Now you might be wondering. Does it really work? And it works the same way. Now you might be wondering. Does it really work? And the answer is yes. Now you might be wondering. Does it really work? And the answer is yes.
The step in real walk.
Now you might be wondering. Does it really work?
The step real walk. Does this really work?
And the answer the same way. Now you might be wondering. Does it really work?
Does this really work? Does it really work?
And the answer is yes.
And the answer is yes.
I use this method myself to improve my pronunciation. Before I began applying this method, I mispronounced a lot of words. And here are some examples. Look at these word pairs. The word pronounced a lot of words. And here are some examples.
And here are some examples.
Look at these word pairs. The words eat a lot of words. And here are some examples. Look at these word pairs. The words eat pair of words. And here are some examples. Look at these word pairs. The words eat pair are pronounced differently.
Eat pair.
But look at these word pairs. I mispronounced a lot of words. And here are some examples. Look at these word pairs.
Look at it word pair. Look at it word pair.
I mispronounced a lot of words. And here are some examples. Look, in that which is we words, but it's different. Now you to fix most of the mistakes and confusing, but thanks to them the same way. So sometimes, and here are, before I began applying this method, I mispronounced to improve my pronunciation. Before I began applying this method, I mispronounced a lot of words. And here are some examples. Look at these word pairs.
Look at this word pair. Watch. Back. Have. Want. Advise. Full.
The words eat pair are pronounced differently, but I used to pronounce them the same way. So sometimes I would say something confusing, but thanks to this, the same way. So sometimes I would say something confusing. Used to pronounce them the same way. So sometimes I would say something confusing, but thanks to this method.
But thanks to this
So
method.
sometimes I would say something
But thanks to
confusing.
this method.
But thanks to this method,
But thanks to this method.
I was able to fix most of the mistakes and now confusing. But thanks to this method,
But thanks to this method.
I was able to fix most of the mistakes.
I was able to.
But thanks to this method, I was able to fix most of the mistakes.
I was able to fix.
Confusing. But thanks to this method,
But thanks to this method,
I was able to fix most of the mistakes and
most of the
But
expense.
thanks to this method, I was able to fix most of the mistakes.
But thanks to this method, I can.
Confusing. But thanks to this method, I was able to
I
fix
was able to.
most of the mistakes. Something confusing. But thanks to
I was
this
able
method,
to.
I was able to fix most of the
I was able to fix most.
mistakes.
Most.
Now, but thanks to this method,
But thanks to this method,
I was able to fix most of the mistakes.
Most of the things. But thanks to this method, I was able to fix the most of.
Something confusing. But thanks to this method, I was able to fix most of the mistakes. Confusing.
I
thanks
was
to
able
this
to. I was able to fix the most of the mistakes.
I was able to fix most of the mistakes.
I was able to fix the most of the mistakes.
And now my pronunciation is much better.
And now my pronunciation is much better.
Alright, now it's time for you to improve your pronunciation. Pronunciation is much better. Alright, now most of the mistakes. And now my pronunciation is much better. Alright, now it's time for you to improve your pronunciation.
Now it's time
much
for
better.
your pronunciation.
Alright, now it's time for you to improve your pronunciation.
Now it's time for you. Now it's time to
pronunciation. I've created a Alright, now it's time for you to improve your pronunciation.
Now it's time for you to improve your pronunciation.
It's much better. I was able to fix most of the mistakes, and now my pronunciation is much better. Alright, now it's time for you to improve your pronunciation.
Now it's time.
It's much better. Alright, now it's time for you to improve.
Now it's time to
improve your pronunciation.
Improve your pronunciation.
Much better. Alright. Now it's time for you to.
Now it's time for you to
improve your
pronunciation.
Now it's time.
Now it's time to.
Now it's time for you to.
Now it's time to. Now it's time to improve your pronunciation. Improve your pronunciation.
Is much better. Alright. Now it's time
Now
for
it's
you
time.
to improve.
Now it's time to.
And now my pronunciation is much better. Alright. Now it's time for you to.
Now it's time for.
And now my pronunciation is much better.
Now it's time.
Alright. Now it's time for you to improve.
Now it's time for you to improve your pronunciation.
Pronunciation is much better.
Much better.
Alright.
Now it's time for you
to improve your.
Now it's time for you to improve your pronunciation.
Now my pronunciation is much better. Alright. Now it's time for you to.
Now it's time for you to improve your pronunciation.
And now my pronunciation is much better.
Now it's time for you to improve your pronunciation.
I've created a resource page that. It's time for you to improve your pronunciation. I've created a resource page that. It's time for you to improve your pronunciation. I've created a resource page.
I created a resource page
that includes exercises for all the confusing sounds in English. Just click here to go to that page.
Click here and go to page.
For all the confusing, I've created a resource page that is time for you to improve
I create a resource page.
I've created a resource page.
I create a resource page.
that includes exercises for all the confusing sounds in English. Just click here to go to that page.
Check click here.
For all I've created a resource page.
I create a resource page. I create a resource page.
Now it's time for you to improve your pronunciation. I've created a resource page.
I create a resource page. I create a
Now it's
resource
time for
page.
you to improve your pronunciation. I've created a resource page.
I create a resource page. Resource page. Resource page.
Now
I
it's time
create
for
a
you to
resource
improve
page.
your pronunciation.
I create a
I've created a
resource page
that includes exercises for all the confusing sounds in English. Just click here to go to that
click here
page.
and go to
And if you want all the confusing sounds
down.
in English, just click here to go to that page.
check click here and go to the page.
And if you want more useful content like this, subscribe to this channel and click the like button.
right button. 56분, 30분 걸리네. 아, 에, 이, 오, 우.
Hi there, my name is Ronnie and I'm going to teach you English again. And this lesson is a lesson on pronunciation and it's about two vowels. In English we have the vowels A, E, I, O, U. If you are from a Spanish-speaking country, Japanese-speaking country, Korean-speaking country, and many other ones, I know that these two vowels are opposite to what we say in English. So hopefully this will help you remember them. The first one is E.
E.
I don't have a special technique to help you with this, except it sounds like
E. E.
So if you can remember E,
E.
like that, that's good. This one's easy.
E.
I have a technique. This one, we actually say I. Like
E. I.
the thing in your head,
I.
on your face is an I. So,
I.
you can think of it
You think of it.
by actually making an I above your eye, above the dot.
I.
That's how
I.
remember these two differences in the vowels. Okay, so let's get into the pronunciation. This is actually a request
B.
that I teach this.
B. I. Bed.
You can have in English either E-A, or you can have E-E. These vowels are the same pronunciation.
E. Beat. Heat. Meat.
We pronounce these all
Sheet.
like a double E sound.
Double E sound.
So let's go through the list and we can repeat after me. Beat.
Beat.
Heat.
Heat.
Meat.
Meat.
Feet.
Feet.
And sheet.
Sheet.
If we spell this word meat with E-A,
E-A. Meat. Food.
it is food.
Meat.
But the way we pronounce it is exactly the same. This one is, I will meet you at the station. This one is, I like to eat meat. Pronunciation is exactly the same, but the spelling is different. Yeah, so that's about the only ones that we have a double meaning. So, once again, the pronunciation is like a double E. Now, when we want to say words like this, we actually just say it.
It.
Okay? But because there's another consonant in front of us, we have to mix the two together. So we say bit.
Bit.
This one is hit.
Hit.
Mit.
Meat.
Fit.
Fit.
And a very bad word, shit.
Shit.
Okay? So always remember
Shit.
this take a separate sound and have an it pattern. So let's put the two of them together so you can hear the difference between the E and the I.
E and I.
Beat,
Beat,
bit.
beat,
You try.
beat,
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 bit.
beat.
Next one. Heat,
Hit,
hit.
hit,
Your turn.
hit. Beat,
Heat,
hit,
hit.
hit.
Meat,
Meat,
mit.
meat.
Your chance now.
Meat, meat.
Meat, mit.
Meat, meat.
Next one is feet
Feet,
and fit.
feet.
You have a go at that.
Feet, 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 feet,
Feet,
feet,
fit.
feet.
And the last
Feet.
one. Very
Sheet,
careful with this. Sheet
sheet,
and shit.
shit.
Just to let
Shit.
you know, in the English language, this word, it's a naughty word. We do use it a lot, but if you're talking to older people, or if you're talking to people who are in a greater position that you are of in authority, they don't like it when you say this. So when I was a little girl, if I said this word, I had to put soap on my toothbrush and brush my teeth with soap, just because I said this word. So you know. So let's put the two of them together so you can hear the difference between the E and the I. Beat, bit. You try.
Beat,
Beat, bit. Next one. Heat, hit. Your turn. Heat, hit. Meat, mit.
meat. Feet,
That's now.
it.
Meat, mit. Next one is feet and fit. You have a go at that.
I. Beat, it.
Feet, fit. And the last one, very careful with this. Sheet and shit. Just to let you know, in the English language, this word, it's a naughty word. We do use it a lot, but if you're talking to older people, or if you're talking to people who are in a greater position that you are of in authority, they don't like it when you say this. So when I was a little girl, if I said this word, I had to put soap on my toothbrush and brush my teeth with soap, just because I said this word. So you know, don't say it too much. Alright, so today, I hope that you have been able to learn the difference between pronouncing E
E,
and
I, E, I, E,
I hope you have a great
I,
time.
E,
Please go to
I,
ingvid.com where you can see more great English videos for free. Bye!
beat, it. Here or here. Bop, bop. Cotton bell, bear, horse, hat, drawer, education, casual, job, chop, job, chop, thief, think, thin, 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 they are, today, light, right, light, right, light, right, b, p, b, p, b, p, p, f, p, f, b, b, z, z, sh, ch. Okay, light, right.
the Russian people out here in Moscow. For example, two common words here that people usually say incorrectly and make it sound like one word is walk and work.
Work
And work.
Walk
Number
and
one
work.
reason for this, well,
Walk,
there's two reasons.
walk,
One reason is they don't
walk
open their
and
mouths
work.
enough on the word walk. Walk.
Walk,
They say like
work, walk.
And then when it comes to work, they don't use their tongues
Work.
properly because they usually say work.
Work.
And they use their tongues. You're not supposed to. So today, we're going to learn a new tongue twister, and I'm going to teach you how to say this tongue twister properly as well. It is a great exercise for learning how to keep your tongue down when making the R sound, but keeping your tongue up when making the L sound. It is very important. So let's take the words walk and work for now. Now, if you want to say it the most clearest way possible, when you say walk, to one, make sure your mouth is open on the A sound. Walk. And two, you want to make sure you are using your tongue on the L sound, that your tongue is touching the top of your mouth. Walk. Now, I'm an American. Our tongues do not touch the top of our mouths when we are saying walk. But because you are trying to get rid of your accent, you should start doing it using your tongue first before you go to the advanced ways of doing it. So you should use your tongue when you say walk. Use the tip of your tongue to the top of your mouth. But when you say work, keep your mouth, your lips tight. Work. Keep your lips tight. Not woo, but work. Keep your lips firm and make sure your tongue does not touch the top of your mouth. Now, you can move your tongue. Yes, you can move it, but do not let it touch the top of your mouth. Because if it does, you're going to say this. Work. No Americans do that. So please do not do that. I don't think any dialect of English actually does that. So you do not want your tongue to touch the top of your mouth. So, what is this tongue twister that I'm talking about? Well, this tongue twister is a lot of fun. A lot of people love it. But I'm going to teach you what it is and teach you how to do it. Now, the first level of this tongue twister is red, lorry, yellow, lorry.
Red lorry, yellow, yellow lorry.
You have to say it properly to get
Red lorry, yellow lorry.
R sound, I want your tongue not to touch
Red
the top
lorry,
of your mouth.
yellow
And on
lorry.
every L sound, I want your tongue
Red
to be
lorry,
touching the
yellow
top.
lorry.
For example,
Red
and
lorry,
3 times fast.
yellow
For example,
lorry.
red lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry, yellow lorry.
Red lorry, yellow lorry.
Like
Red
that.
lorry,
And that is level 1. Well,
red
so you can do
lorry,
that. Cool.
yellow
No problem.
lorry.
Then you can practice it by going on to level 2. And level 2 of this tongue twister with the same rules.
Red lorry,
Tongue down on R.
red lorry,
tongue up
yellow
on L.
lorry.
It's red
Red lorry, yellow, yellow lorry. Yep. Red lorry, yellow lorry. Red lorry,
and for those people who
red lorry,
don't
yellow
really think
lorry.
they can make the R sound
Red
without
lorry,
their tongues touching the
red
top of
lorry,
their
yellow lorry.
without their tongues touching the top of their mouth,
Okay.
you can. Just involve your lips more. Like when
Hello, and welcome to the first lesson from Ingfluent.com. In this lesson, I will ask you a lot of questions to help you practice speaking English. Please answer every question in a complete sentence. For example, if the question is Santa Claus real?
Over the course of our lives, we all learn some lessons that we wish we had learned sooner. These lessons often come from a combination of experience,
Sixth lesson we want to lead in life.
Over the course
선생님들 유튜브에 그리고 이제 최근 프로젝트 가족이보다는 한계 다양하게 있지만 뒤로 프로젝트이긴 하지만
reflection and the advice. Over the course of our life. Others give us. They shape who we are, guide our decisions, and provide a framework for living a more fulfilling and meaningful life. That's why the sooner we learn, or at least become aware of them, the better it is for us, as they can help us avoid common pitfalls and make more informed choices. I'm going to share some of the lessons I've learned with you today in no particular order. But they're not just lessons, rather they're more like rules I live by, because as long as I stick to them, I'm able to enjoy my life to the fullest. Now, without further ado, we have number 1. Health is everything, yet most of us take it for granted. This is especially prevalent among younger adults in their early 20s who often forget that actions have consequences. When we're going about our day-to-day lives and everything is fine, we don't appreciate how healthy we are. Why would we? It's only when something bad happens that we realize just how lucky we really were. I'm no different in this regard. Usually once a year, I'll catch the common cold and be out of commission for a few days. It's always an unpleasant experience, but it's also a stark reminder not to take health for granted. There's an old adage, health is wealth. However, people often neglect their health in pursuit of money, which I don't think is a good trade-off. Consider this, would you trade your life with someone who's worth $100 million, but they're so ill that they can't even leave their bed? I know I wouldn't. Most people would be willing to spend all of that money just to be healthy again. Because health is actually what allows us to enjoy life to the fullest. Without it, we become limited. And unfortunately, we often come to this conclusion too late or only realize it when something bad happens to us. That's why I believe it's important to make decisions that protect and enhance your health. Get enough sunlight, ensure you get enough sleep, exercise regularly, stop taking unnecessary risks that could lead to permanent injury, avoid junk food, avoid soda and alcohol, don't smoke or vape, learn to manage stress. These are just some of the steps you can take. Appreciate and prioritize your health or suffer the consequences and regret. Number 2. If you can control your environment, you can control your life. When we think about self-control, we might think of someone with an iron will who can force himself to act against his instincts through sheer discipline. While this is one way to think about self-control, I've learned that discipline is often overrated. Constantly powering through distractions and resisting temptations requires a lot of energy and brain power. Instead, setting up your environment in a way that makes self-control easy or even unnecessary is a much better approach. For example, I haven't eaten any sugary foods in months. But it's not because I dislike sugar or have exceptional discipline. Quite the opposite. If you put an ice cream in front of me, I'll eat all of it in seconds. My self-control is that weak. However, I've optimized my environment in such a way that I don't have to resist ice cream at all. Occasionally, I'll get a craving for it, especially during summer. But if I don't have any at home when the craving hits, it becomes a chore to get some, since I'd have to go all the way to the store. And by the time I get there, either my rational brain takes over or the craving subsides on its own. Essentially, by making it difficult to get my hands on ice cream, I barely have to use any brain power resisting it. Now, when it comes to any positive behavior I want to practice more often, I make it as convenient as possible. Whether it's reading, exercising, working, or eating healthily, I ensure these activities are easy to engage in by making them readily available. If I wanted to incorporate a new habit, let's say drinking more water, I would just make it incredibly convenient for myself to do so. I would always have a water bottle within an arm's reach or somewhere visible as a reminder. I'd practically be tripping over it, but that easy access would ensure that staying hydrated remained effortless. And yes, this approach of optimizing your environment works exceptionally well. Because by creating obstacles for things you shouldn't do and making things you should do more convenient, you can manage your habits more effectively. And if you can control your habits, you ultimately control the trajectory of your life. So try optimizing your environment if you haven't already. You won't be disappointed. Number 3. Stay true to yourself. One of the biggest epiphanies I had in my teenage years was that I could make almost anyone love or like me simply by adapting to the social circle I was in. Essentially, if I acted how other people wanted me to act and told them what they wanted to hear, I was able to fit in anywhere. However, one of the biggest epiphanies of my 20s was realizing that it's better to just be yourself. Not because it makes you more likable, it absolutely doesn't, but because only by being yourself can you find people who like you for who you are, rather than for the character you're pretending to be. By pretending you're someone you're not, you attract people who only like the persona you're portraying, not the true you. You're just going to end up feeling disconnected from those people. And is their approval really that important to you? All the while, the people who would have fallen in love with the true you, they will pass you by because that side of you is never presented. But we are social creatures, and we all struggle with finding balance between being true to ourselves and conforming to social expectations. In the 1950s, Solomon Asch conducted a series of experiments that vividly illustrated how powerful the need for social acceptance can be. In his experiments, participants were asked to match the length of a line on one card with one of the 3 lines on another card. While this task was very simple, it came with a twist. In each session, there was only one real participant. The rest of the group were actors who were in on the experiment. For the first few rounds, everyone gave correct answers. But then in later rounds, the actors started to unanimously choose an obviously wrong line. The real participant, unaware of the setup, faced a dilemma. Go with the obvious correct answer or conform to the group's incorrect choice. Astonishingly, 72% of participants conformed to the incorrect group opinion at least once, even when the correct answer was clear. Participants often reported feeling self-doubt and a desire to fit in with the group, even when they knew the group's answer was wrong. This experiment underscores the immense pressure to conform, even at the cost of one's own judgment and authenticity. It highlights our inherent need for social acceptance, which can lead us to suppress our true selves in favor of fitting in with the group. However, by doing so, we only alienate ourselves further. So, next time you find yourself in a situation where everyone seems to agree on something, don't be afraid to offer a different perspective, even if it feels challenging. It's also completely fine to be wrong about something. Be authentic, stay true to yourself, as that's the only way you'll find the people that truly resonate with who you are. Number 4, your mind needs rest as well. We often advise people to take a break after physical activity, reminding them of the necessity of rest and recovery for their bodies. Yet, how often do we extend this advice to those who have spent their day engaged in intense mental activity? In today's world, many jobs demand significant mental effort. Think of a programmer who spends the entire day writing code. To an outsider, it might seem like he's just chilling at his desk, but his brain could be working 100 miles per hour. And this type of cognitive effort can be just as draining as physical work, despite not being measured as easily. Now, unfortunately, while physical exertion gets a free pass since it's more tangible, mental exertion often does not. We're told to suck it up and push further instead. But just as our muscles need time to recuperate after a strenuous workout, our brains also need it. This video is sponsored by FocusMe, an app that allows you to achieve instant discipline. I have a confession to make. I am an addict. But I got some bad news for you. You're probably one as well. Whenever I heard the words addiction or addict, the first thing that popped into my head was an image of a bum living on the street while being high on drugs. That was the impression that was imprinted in my childhood, and it's the reason why for the longest time I didn't consider myself to be an addict at all. If that's your perception of addiction, then you might think this topic doesn't concern you. But addiction can be found in other everyday behaviors that nobody would bat an eye for if you were to indulge in them, such as shopping, browsing the internet, eating fast food, working, scrolling on your phone, drinking coffee, gambling, playing RuneScape. You get the point. It's not exclusive to alcoholics and drug users. So what I'm going to talk about today is relevant to everyone because I believe most of us are addicted to something, even if we might not know or want to admit it. At the very least, we all have certain behaviors that we would like to stop or reduce. And to improve your life, you don't have to necessarily add a ton of new habits, but rather eliminate the ones that are holding you down. Of course, most of the behaviors I mentioned are acceptable when done in moderation. Someone who gets drunk every once in a while is not necessarily an addict. He's merely making a bad choice. What addiction really is continued and compulsive overconsumption that you continue to indulge in despite the negative consequences you experience yourself or you're inflicting onto others. So if you keep repeating a behavior and you can't reduce or stop it, you are an addict. But the problem is that the most common thing an addict tells himself is that he's not really addicted, that he can stop at any time, and that he just doesn't want or doesn't see a reason to stop. Rather, he finds ways to justify his behavior. So a good question to ask yourself is this: can you stop that behavior completely for a few weeks? Can you do without your phone, sugar, coffee, or your computer for that period of time? If we're completely honest, for a lot of us, the answer is no. And we might want to examine more closely as to why that is. Because the easiest way to take control over your behavior is to understand why you're doing it in the first place. We all have certain desires. And our addiction, while it may be problematic, is usually just a solution we have come up with to fulfill those desires. You see, if our behavior didn't benefit us in some way, we wouldn't be repeating it. In other words, we're addicted to our drug of choice because it fulfills a certain purpose. For some people, it's pleasure-seeking. Obviously, we all want to feel good. Maybe you want to feel the excitement of discovering something new, so you go on the internet and browse social media. Or perhaps you want to have some fun, so you look to entertain yourself by sports betting or playing video games. However, our behavior isn't only driven by our desires, but also by the problems and difficulties of life. So another reason behind our behavior is pain avoidance. And I believe that this is the more common behavioral driver for most people. Obviously, nobody wants to feel unpleasant. We want to escape that pain. So when you're stressed or overwhelmed, you binge on food or cigarettes to replace the bad feelings with good sensations. Perhaps you feel lonely or bored and you go shopping or gambling to take your mind off those depressing thoughts. Maybe you feel helpless or empty and you binge watch Netflix series all day in order to distract yourself. I could go on and on. But whether it's pleasure-seeking or pain avoidance, you've probably noticed in your own life that you tend to rely on highly dopaminergic behaviors or substances as your solution. Meaning, when you indulge in those activities, your brain releases a lot of dopamine. And as you may already know, dopamine is a neurotransmitter that is linked to motivation, craving, and drive. Whenever it gets released, your mood tends to elevate and you feel great. But the more dopamine an activity releases and the faster it gets released, the more addictive it is. So you have to be really careful here. While this strategy of indulging in highly dopaminergic activities might be effective for elevating your mood in the short term, it can make your life worse in the long term. In her book, The Dopamine Nation, Anna Lemke, who's an addiction expert and professor at Stanford University, describes a very important process. She explains how pain and pleasure are actually processed in the same region of the brain, but more importantly, that they work like a balance. Which is something that I didn't know until recently, but is an absolutely crucial aspect to the way that we function in everyday life. Imagine that your brain contains a scale. When there's nothing on it, it's perfectly flat and balanced. However, when you indulge in a pleasurable, high dopamine activity, the balance tips. The more exciting the behavior, the more and faster it dips, the more pleasure you feel. But here's the thing about balance. It wants to remain level or flat. So every time it gets tipped towards pleasure, eventually a self-regulating mechanism that is not under your control kicks in order to bring it back to the level position it was in. However, it doesn't just stop at balance. Instead, the mechanism overcompensates and tips the scale all the way to the pain side for you to spend an equal time there as you did on the pleasure side. When this happens, you don't experience literal physical pain, but rather you might feel a sense of unease, like there's something missing. And what you feel are cravings for the thing that brought you that initial pleasure. You want to recreate that moment of enjoyment, or at the very least, try not to let it fade away. So what do? You push on the pleasure side again. You keep on scrolling, playing, watching, drinking, eating, or whatever you are doing. But there's a problem with that. When you try to recreate that previous high, that spike of pleasure, there are two key factors working against you. Firstly, there's something called diminishing marginal utility. You know how when you're hungry, the first slice of pizza tastes amazing? It's 10 out of 10. The second and the third one are still pretty good, but the sixth one is kinda, This happens with almost everything. The more you indulge in something, the less pleasure you derive from it. Secondly, over time, you build tolerance. If you're obsessively watching pornography, you will eventually require more extreme versions of it, otherwise it will stop being exciting. Or if you're a gambling addict, you'll feel the need to bet higher and higher amounts because lower amounts simply won't thrill you anymore. Your baseline will adjust and you'll require a more potent version. These two factors create a vicious cycle where you keep pressing on the pleasure side more and more while getting less and less pleasure from it. And if you keep giving into your cravings day after day, eventually you're not doing it for pleasure anymore. You're doing it just to feel normal, and you might not even realize it. Take a look at this graph here. It's another way to visualize the pain-pleasure balancing act that takes place. When you first indulge in instant gratification, you feel great due to a dopamine spike. But once the high wears off, it drops down and goes below the baseline. You feel a sense of unease and you crave more of your quote-unquote drug. So you indulge again, but by doing that, you're not letting the balance reset properly. Further indulgence then isn't as gratifying as it was at first due to diminishing marginal utility. But you don't want to stop. Rather, you want to recreate that high because of the cravings. So you keep using over and over and over, but you get to a point where you're no longer getting anything out of it. You're just using your drug to feel normal because you've developed tolerance and adapted. What used to make you feel good is now required for you to not feel terrible. And if you stop now, you'll have to face the withdrawal symptoms and feel irritated, distracted, anxious, or empty. All because the self-regulating mechanism wants to collect the debt that you racked up from binging on highly dopaminergic activities. And I believe a lot of us are stuck in this pattern. We've become slaves to our cravings, and we can't really control our behavior, even if we think we can. So the big question is, how can we break this vicious cycle and take that control back? Unfortunately, it's very unlikely that you'll just wake up one day and suddenly stop your compulsive behavior out of the blue. However, there is a solution. It's actually really simple, but your addicted brain won't like it. That's why afterwards, I'll lay out a coherent plan to make the whole thing easier. The solution is to stop pursuing pleasure and abstain from your drug of choice for at least 1 month. That's it. I told you you wouldn't like it. It's basically an extended dopamine fast or dopamine detox. And I know this might sound extreme to some of you as it requires a good amount of discipline, but it works really well and actually produces tangible results. I've done it myself to take control over my own unwanted behaviors, and it helped me eliminate most of the cravings for it. I'll explain why it's so effective later, because first I would like to share a step-by-step plan to achieve this 1 month of abstinence. Everyone might have the willpower necessary to resist their cravings for a couple of days, but 1 whole month is a completely different beast. So, here's the plan. There are 4 components to it. First, identify your triggers. Second, optimize your environment. Third, find an alternative behavior. And fourth, try to do something difficult every day. Let's go through them one by one. Before and during your 1 month of abstinence, you should be analyzing your cravings. You need to find out what sets them off in order to better understand how to handle them. A few key questions that you could ask yourself are: how did I feel? What was I thinking about? Who was I with? Did I see something specific? What was I doing when the craving hit? What time was it? If you self-analyze,
this is Nimesh. With the age of 35, had the most belly fat ever in his life. But less than a year later, he now looks like this. His belly fat is now lower than 98% of men. This is because nobody approaches losing belly fat in 3 layers, with each layer requiring a slightly different strategy, which works for both men and women. But most people are stuck in the outermost layer, layer 1, which is right where Nimesh's journey began, with a day 1 body fat of 29.5%. And one of the cool things about DEXA scans is they don't just give you an overall body fat percentage. They let you split the body into regions, so you can see your body fat percentage in your arms, your legs, your hips, and even your belly. Where Nimesh clocked in at 34.4%, higher than anywhere else on his body. You said that belly fat's like one of the areas where you struggle, and you feel like genetically you're kind of like cursed. And the uncomfortable truth is, he wasn't wrong. Almost every single guy I've run through a day 1 DEXA scan has shown that their belly carries more fat than anyone else, which can become a serious health risk. As large population studies have shown, every few centimeters you gain around your waist increases your risk of metabolic disease and death, even if your weight stays the same. But to see how consistent this belly pattern is, and whether this holds true for women, my team and I analyzed 8 years of DEXA scans from nearly 18,000 American men and women. And what we found actually paints a pretty clear picture of why belly fat seems so hard to get rid of. For men under 25% body fat, their belly fat levels are actually about the same as the rest of their body. But once you go above 25%, your belly now becomes the preferred place for fat storage. And this doesn't just mean belly fat becomes easier to gain, it also means it becomes harder to lose. So we plotted the data to show the rate of fat loss from different body parts as you get leaner, with the belly here in red. Now the flatter the line, the slower the rate of fat loss. So at higher body fat levels, notice how fat quickly drops off from the arms, the legs, and the hips, while fat in the belly remains much higher. But right around 30% body fat, belly fat actually starts to nosedive, and the other areas flatline. And by the time you get to 25%, the belly is no longer fatter than other areas and continues progressing faster afterwards. So it seems like once your body has burned off enough fat from easier to access areas, it'll eventually start pulling more and more from your stomach. Now for women, the picture actually does look quite a bit different. They tend to store less fat in the belly to begin with, and more in their hips, their legs, and their arms. For example, this is my friend Nicole, who started her fat loss journey at 33%. When I looked at her belly fat though, it was almost identical, 33.7%, whereas her legs and hips clocked in much higher. And if the data from our DEXA scans proves reliable, we should see that when Nicole and Nimesh see a similar drop in total body fat, Nicole will probably see more of that fat loss coming from her belly compared to Nimesh. At least as they're both working to burn through what I like to think of as the first layer of belly fat. So this is a soft outer layer of belly fat that prevents you from seeing any ab definition. When men burn through this, you should see some upper abs poking through and usually some shape in the rest of their abs. Now for women, the waist tightens up and rolls smooth out, but you're not going to see any clear ab definition yet. And typically the end of layer 1 gets you at 20% body fat for men and 28% body fat for women. Now the good news about this layer is it actually requires the least amount of effort to burn off. For Nimesh, all he needed was 4 core habits, plus a bonus one to help him push through the biggest challenge this layer posed. First, I set Nimesh up with a workout plan consisting of just 3 workouts per week, just to make sure any weight he does lose comes directly from fat. And we may even see some muscle gains at the same time. Second, I gave him a few simple diet rules. At every meal, include a portion of lean protein about the size of your palm. Prepare most of your meals at home where portions and ingredients are easier to control. And build each meal around these core foods. With these changes, you shouldn't even need to count calories to start seeing change. Third, I set him a baseline goal of 8,000 steps per day to bump up his daily calorie burn. And lastly, I got him a scale to track his morning weight, with a weight loss goal of just 1 pound per week. Now I also set up Nimesh with our Built with Science Plus app to help him track his weight loss, coach him in his workouts every week, and just get healthy meal recipes to try out. Now, even though layer 1 requires the least effort physically, it's actually the hardest mentally. And Nimesh found this out when he checked back in on day 30. Despite being 7 pounds down on the scale, he didn't feel like his belly had changed at all. He actually texted me afterwards, doubting the plan was even working. But if you look closely at his chin, his chest, and his arms, you can clearly see that these areas have been down. And when I measured his waist, he was already down 3 centimeters, which meant he was definitely losing belly fat, just not at the speed he was expecting. And if you remember from earlier, that's exactly what our DEXA data predicted. In the early stages, fat comes off from the easy areas first, while the belly lies behind. So by day 60, even though he had lost another 3 centimeters around his waist, visually his belly hadn't progressed as much as his chest and his arms, where he even had some new veins showing. And then when you compare Nimesh's progress to Nicole's, who had lost a similar amount of total body fat, she was down 8 centimeters around her waist and already had some ab definition starting to poke through. And while we were finally starting to see where Nimesh's abs would eventually come through, the abs are relatively small, flat muscles. Compared to your big arm and shoulder muscles, you simply have so much more fat to lose before your abs can start poking through. Remember, the goal of layer 1 is not to get 6-pack abs. And if I wanted to prevent Nimesh from quitting right before the going gets good, I desperately needed a way for him to see all the progress he was clearly making everywhere else. Which leads me to his bonus habit, where I asked Nimesh if he'd be willing to take a progress photo after his morning weigh. When reviewing these photos, I wanted him to not just hyperfixate on his belly fat, but to be able to see the progress he was making through his chest, his shoulders, and his arms that he was clearly overlooking. And with the ability to look back at his pictures every week, Nimesh genuinely started to notice the progress he was now making. Plus, now that he was below 25% body fat, progress around his belly finally started to really pick up, all the way to day 90, where after losing 12 pounds of fat, layer 1 was successfully burned off, revealing some clear upper ab definition. Now, although it may not seem like it compared to most of the influencers you see on Instagram, at this point, Nimesh is already leaner than about 84% of men. But to push this even further, he's going to have to get through layer 2, which for most men gets you to around 15% body fat and 23% for women. But I'd say layer 2 is where most people give up. In layer 1, it seems like nothing's changing, whereas layer 2, fat loss actually slows down or even stops because your body starts to fight back. And the strategies that work for layer 1 no longer do now.
So 2 weeks, the weight hasn't changed. The progress photos I'm taking daily, they look identical. And the weird thing is, like, I'm recording most of the meals and being pretty consistent, I feel. So, yeah, I don't know what's happening. Just got to figure this one out and see what's going on.
For starters, depending on how much fat you lost in layer 1, you're going to now be carrying less weight than you did before. And this is like taking off a 24/7 weighted backpack, which decreases your calorie burn. Plus, your body has now sensed the fat loss and tries to counteract it by conserving your energy. It's subtle at first, but you might sit down more and just walk around less without you even noticing. Now, when this would happen to me when I was younger, I would try to counter this by ramping up my cardio, adding 20 to 30 minutes of intense running or cycling after each workout. And while it worked, Eventually, I would just stall again, and then I just didn't have an energy pad.
It's hard to me.
Only 2% of people have an IQ above 130. But forget everything you think you know about intelligence. It's not about math skills or perfect grades. The real signs are completely different. If you recognize 4 or more of these, there's a strong chance you're in that 2%. The first sign? It actually makes life harder, not easier. Sign number 1. You overthink everything. This isn't just wondering what to have for dinner. People with extremely high IQs analyze every possible outcome before making decisions. Their brains naturally process information at multiple levels at once. When someone asks a simple question, their mind immediately explores 10 different angles. They consider context, hidden meanings, and long-term consequences. A conversation that takes most people 2 minutes to process can occupy their thoughts for hours. The problem? It makes everyday choices exhausting. Picking a restaurant becomes a complex decision involving dietary preferences, social dynamics, and even the psychological impact of the environment. Most people don't understand why someone would struggle with something so simple. But here's what research shows. This constant analysis actually protects them from making impulsive mistakes. While it creates stress, it also leads to better long-term outcomes in relationships and careers. Sign number 2. You prefer being alone, but not because you dislike people. People with high IQs often choose solitude, not from loneliness or people with high IQs often choose solitude.
People have high IQ often choose solitude,
not from loneliness or social anxiety.
Not from loneliness and social.
Often choose solitude, not from loneliness or social anxiety.
Social anxiety.
Their brains need time to process the constant flood of information they absorb every day. Social situations drain them faster than others. They pick up on subtle cues most people miss. Body language, tone shifts, underlying tensions in a room. Their minds work overtime analyzing these details without even trying. After spending time with others, they need hours alone to recharge. This isn't antisocial behavior. It's a psychological necessity. Studies show that highly intelligent people feel less satisfied with frequent socializing. Studies show that highly intelligent people feel less satisfied with frequent socializing. Studies show that highly intelligent people feel less satisfied with frequent socializing. Studies show that highly intelligent people feel less satisfied with frequent socializing. Studies show that highly intelligent people feel less satisfied with frequent socializing. Unlike most people feel less satisfied.
They show that highly intelligent people feel less satisfied
with frequent socializing.
Okay. Yes.
Studies show that highly intelligent people feel less satisfied with frequent socializing. Unlike most people, they function differently. They find deep satisfaction in solitary activities. Reading, creating, problem solving. These activities allow their minds to work at full capacity without the noise of social obligations. Activities allow their minds to work at reading, creating, problem solving. These activities allow their minds to work at full capacity without the noise of social obligations. These activities allow their minds to work at full capacity without the noise of social obligation. These activities allow their minds to work at full capacity without the noise of social solving. These activities allow their minds to work at full capacity without the noise of social obligation. These activities allow their minds to work at full capacity without the noise of social obligations. These activities allow their minds to work at full capacity without the noise of social obligations. These activities allow their minds to work at full capacity without the noise of social obligations. These activities allow their minds to work at full capacity without the noise of social obligations. These activities allow their minds to work at full capacity without the noise of social obligations. These activities allow their minds to work at full capacity without the noise of social obligations. These activities allow their minds
These activities
to
allow
work
their
at
mind
full
to work
capacity
at
without
full
the
capacity
noise of social
with the noise
obligations.
of social obligation.
Friends and family often misunderstand this need. The noise of social
Friends and
obligations.
Friends
and family often misunderstand this need.
and family often misunderstand friends and family often misunderstand this need. Friends and family often misunderstand this need.
They interpret it as rejection or coldness, but it's actually how these individuals maintain their mental clarity and emotional balance. Sign number 3. You question everything, including yourself. Most people accept information at face value. They hear something and move. Most people accept information at face value, including yourself. Most people accept information at face value, including yourself. Most people accept information at face value.
Most people accept information,
including yourself.
Most
people accept information at face value, including yourself.
Most
people accept information at face value.
At face value. Most people accept information at face value.
They hear something and move on. But people with extremely high IQs can't do this. Their brains automatically search for flaws, contradictions, and alternative explanations. Automatically search for flaws, contradictions, and alternative explanations. Their brains automatically search for flaws, contradictions, and alternative explanations. Their brains automatically search for flaw.
Their brain automatically search
contradictions, and alternative explanations.
Alternative.
Their brains automatically search for flaws, contradictions, and alternative explanations.
Alternative interpretation.
Their brains automatically search for flaw.
Their brain automatically search for flaw,
contradictions, and alternative explanation. They constantly ask why and what if. Why does this rule exist? What if the opposite is true? Why do I think this way? What if I'm wrong? This trait makes them excellent problem solvers. They see gaps in logic. This trait makes them excellent problem solvers.
This trait makes them excellent problem solvers. This trait makes them excellent problem solvers. Okay. Excellent problem solver. Too hard. I can't understand all of them.
They see gaps in logic that others miss completely. They challenge assumptions that everyone else accepts without thinking. But it comes with a cost. Self-doubt becomes a constant companion. But it comes with a cost. Self-doubt becomes a constant companion.
Self-doubt.
Self-doubt becomes a constant companion.
Self-doubt becomes constant companion. Self-doubt becomes constant companion. Self-doubt becomes the constant companion.
While others feel confident in their choices, highly intelligent people second-guess themselves. They see too many possibilities, too many ways things could go wrong, too many angles they might have missed. In relationships, this creates complications. They question their partner's words, looking for hidden meanings that might not exist. They analyze their own feelings until simple emotions become things that might not exist. They analyze their own feelings until simple emotions become complex puzzles. They analyze their own feelings until simple emotions become complex puzzles. They analyze their own feelings until simple emotions become complex puzzles. They analyze their own feelings until simple emotions become complex but exist. They analyze their own feelings until simple emotions become complex puzzles. They analyze their own feelings until simple emotions become complex puzzles. They analyze their own feelings until simple emotions become complex puzzles. They analyze their own feelings and
their own feelings.
Until simple emotions become complex.
The simple emotion. Feeling. The simple emotion
Puzzles.
Complex puzzles.
They analyze their own feelings until
Their own feelings.
simple for hidden meanings that might not exist. They analyze their own feelings until
They analyze their own feelings.
simple emotions become complex.
Till simple emotion become complex.
Might not exist. They analyze their own feelings until simple emotions become
Until simple emotion
complex
become
puzzles.
complex puzzles.
At work, they might struggle with imposter syndrome. Complex puzzles. At work, they might struggle with imposter syndrome to become complex
work.
puzzles.
At
At work, they might struggle with imposter syndrome, become complex puzzles. At work, they might struggle with imposter syndrome.
Imposter syndrome. Imposter syndrome. At work, they might struggle with imposter syndrome.
Despite clear evidence of their abilities, they focus on what they don't know instead of what they do. Clear evidence of their abilities. They focus on what they don't. Syndrome. Despite clear evidence of their abilities, they focus on what they don't know
They focus on they don't
instead of
know.
what they do.
They don't know instead of what they do.
Psychologists have found that people with higher intelligence don't know instead of what they do.
What they do.
Psychologists have found that people with higher intelligence tend to overestimate how much others know and underestimate their own knowledge. Higher intelligence don't know instead of what they do.
What they do.
Psychologists have found that people with higher intelligence tend to overestimate what they do. Psychologists have found that people with higher intelligence tend to instead of what they do. Psychologists have found that people with higher intelligence
people
know instead of what they do. Psychologists have found that people with higher intelligence don't know instead of what they do. Psychologists have found that people with higher intelligence tend to overestimate how much others know. And psychologists have found that people with higher intelligence tend to overestimate how much others know and underestimate their own knowledge. What they don't know instead of what they do. Psychologists have found that people with higher intelligence tend to overestimate how much others know and underestimate their own knowledge.
Understand their own knowledge.
They assume everyone thinks as deeply as they do. Underestimate their own knowledge. They assume everyone thinks as deeply as they do. Underestimate their own knowledge. They assume everyone thinks as deeply as they do and underestimate their own knowledge. They assume everyone thinks as deeply as they do and underestimate their own knowledge. They assume everyone thinks as deeply as they do and underestimate their own knowledge. They assume everyone thinks as deeply as they do. Underestimate their own knowledge. They assume everyone thinks as deeply as they do. So when they find an answer, they assume it must be obvious to everyone else too. So when they find an answer, they assume it must be obvious to things as deeply as they do. So when they find an answer, they assume it must be obvious to everyone else too. So when they find an answer, they assume it must be obvious to everyone else too. This constant questioning prevents them from becoming overconfident. This constant questioning prevents them from becoming overconfident. Everyone else too. This constant questioning prevents them from becoming be obvious to everyone else too. This constant questioning prevents them from becoming overconfident. One else too. This constant questioning prevents them from becoming overconfident.
Prevents them from the
One else too. This constant questioning prevents them from becoming
prevents them
confident.
become overconfidence.
One else too. This constant questioning prevents them from becoming
Constant questioning prevents them
overconfident.
prevent them becoming overconfident.
But it also prevents them from recognizing their own value.
On the value.
Sign number 4.
Sign number 4.
You notice patterns everywhere, even when you don't want to. The human brain loves patterns. Value. Sign number 4. You notice patterns everywhere,
You notice patterns everywhere,
even when you don't want to. The human brain loves patterns. But for people with extremely high IQs, this ability works on overdrive. They spot connections between seemingly unrelated things. A conversation from last week links to a news article they read today. A conversation from last week links to a news article they read today. Things. A conversation from last week links to a news article they read today. A conversation from last week links to a news article they read today. Things. A conversation from last week links to a news article they read
article they read today.
A person's behavior reminds them of a pattern they noticed in a completely different situation years ago. Behavior reminds them of a pattern they noticed in a completely different situation years ago. Behavior reminds them of a pattern they noticed in a news article they read today. A person's behavior reminds them of a pattern they noticed in a completely different situation years ago. A person's behavior reminds them of a pattern they noticed in a completely different situation years ago. Whose behavior reminds them of a pattern they noticed in a completely different situation years ago. A person's behavior reminds them of a pattern they noticed in a completely different situation years ago. Their minds create webs of associations automatically years ago. Their minds create webs of associations automatically years ago. Their minds create webs of associations automatically. They can't turn it off. This makes them incredibly good at predicting outcomes. They can't turn it off. This makes them incredibly good at predicting outcomes.
This makes them incredibly good at predicting outcomes.
They see where things are heading before others notice anything unusual. Predicting outcomes. They see where things are heading.
They see the world in
before others makes them incredibly good at predicting outcomes. They see where things are heading before others notice anything unusual. They see where things are heading before others notice anything unusual. Predicting outcomes. They see where things are heading before others notice anything unusual. Predicting outcomes. They see where things are heading before or others notice anything unusual. Outcomes. They see where things are heading before
they see where things are
others
heading
notice anything unusual.
Unusual.
In business, they anticipate market shifts.
They anticipate market shifts.
It's anything unusual. In business, they anticipate market shifts. Is anything unusual? In business, they anticipate market shifts.
They anticipate market shift. In business, they anticipate market shift.
In relationships, they sense problems brewing long before any obvious. In relationships, they sense problems brewing long before any obvious signs appear. Relationships, They sense problems brewing long before any obvious signs appear. In relationships, they sense problems brewing long before any obvious signs appear. Relationships, they sense problems brewing long before any obvious signs appear. Relationships, they sense problems brewing long before any obvious signs appear. In relationships, they sense problems brewing long before any obvious signs appear. But this constant pattern recognition has a dark side. They see negative patterns too. They notice when someone's behavior shifts slightly. They pick patterns too. They notice when someone's behavior shifts slightly. They pick up on inconsistencies in what people say. They remember contradictions from months ago that everyone else has forgotten. This makes it hard to trust people. They collect data points without meaning to. 3 small lies over 6 months become a pattern of dishonesty. A few cancelled plans become evidence of disinterest. Sometimes they're right, and this protects them. But sometimes they see patterns that don't exist, finding meaning in random coincidences. This leads to anxiety. They worry coincidences. This leads to anxiety.
This leads to anxiety. Anxiety. This leads to anxiety. 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 This leads to anxiety.
They worry about things that might never happen because they've spotted a pattern that suggests trouble ahead. Sleep becomes difficult because their mind won't stop finding connections. One thought leads to another, then another, building chains of logic that stretch for hours. Sign number 5. You get bored incredibly easily. Sign number 5. You get bored incredibly easily. Sign number 5. You get bored incredibly easily.
You get bored incredibly easily. You get bored incredibly easily. You get bored incredibly. You get bored incredibly easily. To get bored easily means you my safety, most people, your friend was that employees is okay, that it becomes taken out.
Most people can tolerate repetition. The same job. Bored incredibly easily. Most people can tolerate repetition.
Most people can tolerate repetition.
You get bored incredibly easily. Most people can tolerate repetition. You get bored incredibly easily. Most people can tolerate repetition.
Tolerate repetition.
The same job. The same routine. The same conversations. But for people with high IQs, repetition feels like torture.
Repetition feels like torture. Repetition. Action or repeat something or repeat said or done.
Their brains crave novelty and complexity. Repetition feels like torture. Their brains crave novelty and complexity.
Their brains crave novelty and complexity.
Once they understand something, they lose interest fast. A task that challenges them on Monday becomes unbearable by Friday. At work, they excel during the learning phase. New projects excite them. Complex problems energize them. But once the challenge disappears, so does their motivation. They jump from hobby to hobby. Photography, guitar, coding. Painting.
Painting.
They dive deep, learn quickly, then move on when mastery feels close. In conversations, they struggle with small talk. Discussing weather or weekend plans feels pointless. They want to explore ideas, debate concepts, understand how things work. Surface-level chat makes them restless. Relationships suffer too. Surface-level chat makes them restless. Relationships things work. Surface-level chat makes them restless. Relationships suffer too. The comfortable routine that makes most couples happy leaves them feeling trapped. They need partners who grow and change alongside them. Psychologists link this to something called need for cognition. People with high intelligence have a deep psychological need for mental stimulation. People with high intelligence have a deep psychological need for mental stimulation. People with high intelligence have a deep psychological need for mental stimulation.
Deep psychological need for mental stimulation. Stimulation. For mental stimulation.
Without it, they experience a specific type of discomfort that others don't understand. Friends call them flaky or unable to finish things. But they're not quitting because it's hard. They're quitting because their brain has already extracted all the learning it can get. Sign number 6. You struggle with things that seem easy for everyone else. This sounds backwards, but high intelligence things that seem easy for everyone else.
Number 6. You struggle with things that seem easy for everyone else.
This sounds backwards.
This sounds backward. This sounds backward. Backwards. Toward the back or imitation or other costs related which is usual.
But high intelligence doesn't make everything easier. People with extremely high IQs often fail at simple tasks. They forget appointments. They lose their keys. They struggle to follow basic instructions that have multiple steps. This happens because their minds work differently. While others focus on the task in front of them, highly intelligent people think in layers. When someone asks them to complete a simple form, their brain doesn't just fill in the blanks. It questions why each field exists. It considers the implications of the data. It wonders about the system behind the form. This mental branching makes simple tasks complicated. They also struggle with tasks that require following rules without understanding why. Their brains resist blindly obeying instructions. They need to understand the reasoning first. Without context, they feel stuck. Practical matters become surprisingly difficult. Paying bills on time, keeping track of appointments, maintaining a consistent schedule. These require the kind of straightforward thinking that doesn't come naturally to them. But remembering to eat lunch, that's genuinely hard. This creates shame. Society tells them they should be good at everything. When they excel at difficult tasks but fail at simple ones, they feel broken. Like something is wrong with them. The truth is, their brain prioritizes differently. It saves energy for complex thinking by letting automatic tasks slip through the cracks. Saves energy for complex thinking by letting automatic tasks slip through the cracks. Saves energy for complex thinking by letting automatic tasks slip through the cracks. Sign number 7. You feel like you don't fit in anywhere. This isn't typical social awkwardness. It's something feel like you don't fit in anywhere. This isn't typical social awkwardness. You feel like you don't fit in anywhere. This isn't typical social awkwardness. You feel like you don't fit in anywhere. This isn't typical social awkwardness. You feel like you don't fit in anywhere. This isn't typical social awkwardness. It's something deeper. People with extremely high IQs experience the world differently. It's something deeper. People with extremely high IQs experience the world differently than those around them. And this gap creates isolation that's hard to explain. They walk into a room and immediately feel out of sync. Conversations move too slow. Jokes don't land the same way. They literally process information at a different speed and depth. When they share an idea, people look confused. When they stay quiet, people think they're distant or uninterested. When they stay quiet, people think they're distant or uninterested. When they stay quiet, people think they're distant or uninterested.
Quiet. Quiet. People think they are distant or uninterested.
There's no comfortable middle ground. They're distant or
There's
uninterested.
no comfortable middle ground.
There's no comfortable middle ground. Think they're
There's
distant
no
or
comfortable middle
uninterested.
ground. There's no
There's no
comfortable
comfortable middle ground.
middle ground.
They learn to hide parts of themselves. They dumb down their vocabulary. They pretend to care about topics that bore them. They laugh at the right moments even when nothing feels funny. This masking becomes exhausting. They're constantly performing a version of themselves that fits better with others, but it never feels real. Finding peers becomes crucial but difficult. They need people who think at their level. Crucial but difficult. They need people who think at their level. Becomes crucial but difficult.
They need
people who think at their level.
They need people who think at their level.
Who can keep up with rapid topic changes. People who think at their level. Who can keep up with rapid topic changes.
Who can keep on with rapid topic changes.
Who enjoy exploring complex ideas just for the sake of it. Topic changes. Who enjoy exploring complex ideas just for the sake of it. But these people are rare. Statistics show that only about 2% of the population has an IQ above 130. The higher you go, the population has an IQ above 130. The higher you go, the smaller that percentage becomes. So they spend most of their lives feeling like outsiders. Not because they reject others, but because genuine connection requires a certain compatibility of minds. But because genuine connection requires. Not because they reject others.
Not because they reject others. Not because they reject others. Not because they reject others. Okay.